One thing that many people ask us at Roex is, what should I get? 80s, 110s, 125s. We are 110, 125 too difficult for beginner skaters. Well, I have one pair of each. These are my 80s, these are my 110s, and these are my 125s. I've spent a few months skating on each one. And so it's a bit to explain to you the differences between each one. 80s are really good for like slalom skating, jump skating, like very dynamic, fast accelerations, quick turns. You know, they're very maneuverable, and they're just all around very convenient. The not so good side of it is obviously compared to bigger wheels on 80s, you can longer distances you'll get more tired. Rougher floors, you notice them a lot more. And those are more the limitations, you know. On a short area dynamic, they're just. But if you're trying to do like long skating, marathon skating, distance skating, you're better off with a bigger wheel. So the advantage and the disadvantage of a 110 frame, for example, many people look at them and think, oh, the big wheels, that's really scary, it's not for me. In reality, they're just as easy to use at 110 as it is to use 80, because the hardest thing about skating is not a joke, is the length of the frame. You know, when you have a long frame, it's really hard to turn. But the way this frame is designed with the space here and the two wheels at the back makes for really fast turns. It also makes the frame really low. So the actual distance between the front and rear wheels is almost the same as 80. So really, you notice almost no difference. You're a little bit higher, but you do gain speed, and you also notice a lot less like bumps on the floor, cracks, stones. You know, you fly over them. Also, you maintain speed better. So like once you start pushing, you're flying. Also for slides, you can bend the boot further, which means you can do longer slides and also learn them easier, in my opinion. Not so good on the bigger wheels, the 110s, is jumping. It's a little bit more unstable because you are slightly higher, although not a lot higher, but you are enough, you know, you notice a little bit of a shake. Although you can jump on them fine, really. So they've got the pros and cons there. It's a little bit less dynamic, and you're not as close to the ground. And then you go to the 125s. A lot of people say, oh, well, if I'm going to try 110, I might as well just go straight to 125. Bigger, faster. You don't notice a huge gain in speed between a 110 and a 125, unless you're going to be doing long, flat, you know, distance skating. Because then once you pick up, you just really just fly. Also, obviously, you notice less like imperfections on the floor again. Obviously, because the wheels are bigger, it's also longer, so it's more stable, but it's also slower to turn. I had a few scary moments on these, maybe like charging down a hill and a car coming out, or just someone just walking out the door and having to brake really fast. You've got a lot more like flex because of the height. So, you know, you suddenly have to think, because sometimes you can't just T-stop at that speed, and you go into a slide, and if you don't get the wheels right, you're just going to... That was very scary at one point. So like for a city skate, short distance, tricks, 125 I found a bit too much. You know, it's a lot of fun to go really fast. I use it mainly if I'm really late for somewhere, or I want to get somewhere in a rush. Then sure, 125 and just fly down the road, fly down a bike lane, and you're good. But for general skating and having fun, going out with friends, or just charging around with your headphones in or something, which you shouldn't do if there's traffic, I preferred 110. So all three have their uses. But my personal favorite is 110 overall. I find them great for slides, great for jumps, and just general skating around. I get less tired and I can charge a lot more, not money wise, as in charge going fast. And obviously, if I really want to do a trick that I've planned out for a while, I would go for an 80 because it's more stable on your ankles and it's lower down. But for overall use, I'm going to stick with 110s. Hope that helped. Oh, and also, a lot of people say, if I'm a beginner skater, I can't really use big wheels, can I? Well, I did this experiment on my wife where I had her skating 76mm for about 2 months, and she's just started skating, and we put her on 110s, and within like 20 minutes, she was completely used to them. Because of the length and the height not being so different, I think it would be true to say that anyone can skate on a 110 frame. It's important that you can move the frame from left to right, because, you know, some people with extra height might invert their ankles a little bit. But once you straighten that out and you have your feet straight, I think that anyone can skate on a 110 after a 76 or instead of a 76 or 80. Hope that was helpful. Subscribe to our channel if you want more stuff. Comment other stuff you might like to see us talk about, and we'll do that. Boom!